Well, I mean, so many people are talking about this. We've talked about it, haven't we? I told Janet about it, said you must watch it, but you haven't finished it yet. Yes. You finished it.
Yeah, you told me about it, and I went home and watched all of it in one go.
Did you binge?
I obviously have no life, unlike Janet. Yeah, I binged it because after each one finished, I thought I need to keep watching it. And it was actually so amazing because it left me with so many different emotions. I went from feeling anxious. I was anxious all the way through it, really. But then I went from feeling sorry for him, actually sorry for her at one point, because I thought he was, I don't want to ruin it, but I thought he was almost encouraging her at times. Then I went through a thing of, oh, they both actually are in a very bad place in their lives and they both need help. And then sometimes I didn't like him, and at the end, it was one of those things where for literally the rest of the day I was thinking, I have so many emotions about this show.
Yeah, Brenda, I was thinking it's one of those dramas that it made me think a lot. You know, sometimes you just watch something, you turn the TV off and you're done. But that was kind of not playing on my mind, but it did make me think a lot about real-life stalking situations, things you read in the paper sometimes, and you don't really take all that much notice if it's not happening to you. You just read something, oh, this woman was stalked for 2 years. Yeah. And then you see it actually play out in a true story, in a drama. It hits home.
I mean, I was quite... I like Colin, I binge-watched it when it first came up, and, you know, I was very surprised at the way that he'd researched. And so, as Colin says, you know, it seemed like he was encouraging her because he'd researched her, seen the red flags, but wanted more of the attention. So it was just... I felt sorry for him at first, but then when I saw him encouraging more, I'm like, no,
with another people,
that
that's the thing, Janet, because you haven't finished it yet, so it'd be interesting when you have. Some people say, was he encouraging her? Other people say,
I think he didn't know how to deal with her.
Well, I think he had his own issues,
he had his own issues, and he because it's a true story, he's been quite open about his own issues. But I think when I watched it, the main thing I took from it was the impact it had on me straight away. It really upset me. It really disturbed me. Even seeing the trailer now, it's all a little bit too close for comfort. And you're absolutely on edge watching it. It's no surprise to me that it has been such a huge success. Because it's messy television reflecting the real lives that people live, which are not that neat and tidy. You are in relationships with people that you should get rid of, but you don't know how to. You do feel sorry for people, but you kind of end up in this embarrassing situation where you don't want anyone else to know about it. And so I completely understood what his problem was, but I also understood that he just didn't know what to do about it.
Well, you say that, you know, it's reflecting so many people's lives. 1 in 5 women and 1 in 10 men will experience stalking in their lifetime. And there's a documentary actually tonight on ITV called Stalking, A State of Fear. And this includes, they talked to the family of 23-year-old Gracie Spinks. And Gracie was murdered in 2021. This is after she reported a stalker to Derbyshire Police. We've just got a clip for you.
Stalking has destroyed the life that I used to have. I'm no longer the person that I used to be. I feel frightened that I'm going to be killed or my family are going to be attacked. It never stops.
It never stops.
So
never stops for some people. And they're saying some people don't even report it because the actual convictions, only 5% of stalking cases reported lead to an actual conviction.
I think the problem is, as well, is because even in, going back to Baby Reindeer and also probably that lady there, I'll watch that tonight, but is when you do go to the police, their main thing is, yeah, but have they actually done anything? And it's like, I'm living in fear. That should be enough. They're following me. They're sitting outside my house. They're waiting in cars. You shouldn't have to wait till somebody physically attacks you or do anything. It should be a law. You're just not allowed to do that. It's not a normal situation.
Sorry, Colin, to interrupt you, but I think the other thing is there's this feeling that the police don't take it very seriously, even though the law has been put in place, as you say, very few convictions. And I know 2 men who have been plagued for years by women just standing outside their houses, sending them emails, following them, and you know, nothing has ever been done.
You can actually apply for something called a stalking protection order. Those were introduced in 2020, and that means that the police can then impose conditions on these people and to not approach you, you know, so that you can have a restriction, they can't come with their however many feet.
But a lot of these are repeat offenders.
But they
who
do
come
have
back
specialist
over and over again.
areas now within the police force that mainly deal with stalking, because I was... actually, I wasn't. They were worried that I was going to be. So they found out someone who was about to be released who was obsessed, and 6 months before, they came to me and said, look, we think this is going to happen. And they brought this amazing, this stalker side of things, who gave me loads of what I should do. And it was really, really, really scary, actually. And you do have that instant... You're constantly looking over your shoulder, and it's the scariest thing. And it happened, obviously, you know, a few times within my career. You know, me and my sisters one time had a really scary guy that was stalking us, and, you know, thinking that we were all... he had this thing that we were all married to him, you know, psychologically, and he'd kick off when he found out we had boyfriends, and then he threatened to put a bomb in one of the theatres that we were in, and all the bomb squad came in and actually caught him. They caught him, yeah. And, you know, then there's another part of me, because then he gets taken away and he has to, and there's severe mental health issues, and then you kind of go... There's an element with me where I go, I kind of feel sorry for them because they don't mean to do it.
You still have to protect yourself.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
I'm sure, you know, maybe a lot of stalkers possibly do have mental health issues, but you still got to...
No, absolutely,
protect yourself, haven't you?
Well, when you say about protecting, I think one of the biggest forms of stalking, I think, is the online stalking, which has just really got out of control now. And, you know, I think a lot of people don't actually realise that they're being stalked online when they're just having what they see as an innocent conversation that's back, and then it just progresses into something worse.
Well, I think it's when it's unwanted, and we were looking up, you know, signs of stalking. People get fixated, obsessive, if it's repeated behaviour. But when you say about online, it can be unwanted letters and cards. It can be as simple as that. It doesn't actually always have to be a person standing outside your house or calling you. Somebody just sending you a card warranted.
Oh, well, I've had plenty
know.
of that. I've had people... plenty of strange things where I've had letters where people have written to me and said, I must be... I know Colleen will find this hard to believe. I have had letters from people telling me that I am their ideal woman and I must come to their house immediately.
Again.
You know, and it's the fact they got right to your house and they knew where you lived, and even though they shouldn't do, and all sorts of things like that. But I think for women who feel they can't go to work or walk down the street without looking over their shoulder, like the woman in the film, it's just absolutely shocking.
Yeah, and, you know, the advice would be always go to the police. I mean, if you are concerned, if you recognise any of that and you think somebody is stalking you, please, please do report it, because we said there are these stalking protection orders which can be put in place. Just a reminder of that documentary again tonight. It's called Stalking, A State of Fear. That's 9 p.m. tonight on ITV1 and ITVX.